is up, true believers? The eternal truth. The eternal truth. The eternal truth. The eternal truth behind our modern mythology.
What is up, true believers? It's Mason here with Comics and Crosses, where, yes, we discuss the eternal truths behind our modern mythology. And today is Wednesday, March 2nd. So, yeah, that's right. Yesterday, on March 1st, I got to see an early screening of The Batman. So I'm excited to talk about that today. I got my Batman coffee cup, and I am ready to go with my informal first reactions to the movie. Just wanted to get on here and share them. I'll be doing a formal review video very, very soon, and to put all my thoughts clearly together. But yeah, I had a fun time at the movies. It's a long movie, about a 3-hour movie. But anyway, we'll be getting into that. Obviously, a lot of people are excited to go out and see this new Batman movie. I'll be talking about how it compares to others and performances and things like that. So, but today is also New Comic Book Day. So I hope that you're getting to check out and pick up some new comics. Last week was a great week. Had some good stuff. I'm excited for some things coming out this week. Let's see. Did I get my list? Let me know if you're live or watching this on replay, what comics you were excited for to come out. And I will let you know what I am excited about. I know that Rogue Sun is coming out. There's been these new comics that are part of the Radiant Black kind of universe that have been coming out. So that'll be out in Noctera. Issue number 8 is coming out. Noctera has been a super cool story. One of my favorite books that is out right now. That one, I think, isn't it by Scott Snyder? Yeah, I mean, he does some great stuff always. So that's coming out. Amazing Spider-Man has been a lot of fun. Peter and Ben are finally together, so we'll see where that goes. Moon Knight has been solid. So yeah, we got some good ones coming out. Fantastic Four in the middle of their, what's it called? Reckoning War, a thing with the Watchers. So that's interesting. That's different, kind of like Fringe. Yeah, and then also I saw something as we get into talking about the Batman here. I saw online that AMC is testing out actually charging a little more to see the Batman than for other movies. So, which is interesting, and, you know, I mean, it's probably going to work out well for them because a lot of people want to go see this movie. I saw an early screening last night that was a full house, and yeah, so, I mean, I guess they say it's been, they've done this in Europe for a while, so this is just, now they're trying it here in the States, and I mean, when it comes to big blockbusters like that, I don't think you're really going to deter people unless you're charging them like $5 more, or, I mean, even $2 probably will go unbalked at for the most part. I mean, people might grumble, but they're going to pay the price. I think when you start getting to maybe, I think when you get over $3, it probably would be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be that much. They're probably going to charge, you know, $175 extra or something just to, you know, try to fly under the radar, and that times millions is going to be not too shabby. So, and, you know, theaters got a lot of costs to recoup after being nearly blown out of the water by, you know, the events of 2020 and beyond. So, yes. So anyway, that is what they're doing at AMC when it comes to the Batman. And I'm a little congested this morning. I was out late seeing the movie. So Anyway, so as I said, I have seen the Batman. Now, what are my thoughts and feelings on it? My just general, how do I grade it to give you an idea of what my experience was? I would give this movie, I think it's to me, and other people may feel totally different. I've read some reviews that were absolutely glowing that said this was the greatest Batman movie ever. I would give it, it's in the A minus B plus range for me. With that said, it is great. It is a really good film. I think if I were to watch it again, I would like it even more. I will say that there is a bit of, I think because we've seen so much Batman, we've seen so many Batman movies, it takes a second to kind of adjust to the feel of this one, because the feeling, the tone, the is different. It's different. I think the closest comparison will be to the Dark Knight trilogy, but what's interesting is that they're both kind of meant to be more realistic. But what I've realized is that the Dark Knight trilogy was set in the real world feeling. It felt like you took Batman and placed him in the real world, but it still was a blockbuster movie, you know. And this one, even though it does have some big elements to it, especially in the climax, it didn't feel, it felt more realistic than The Dark Knight. So while I could see The Dark Knight in the real world more, Gotham felt more imaginary in this movie, but yet the content, the story, the people all felt more realistic, if that makes sense. So it's interesting. It's a different sort of spin on realism, and it definitely makes it all its own. Although there's going to be similarities. There's going to be some things that you feel are kind of similar. Carmine Falcone is in this movie as well, like he was in Batman Begins. But in this movie, he's John Turturro, who I have a hard time taking serious because, the sneaky sir, and the washing polishing the bowling ball and the Big Lebowski, things like that. So I know him. He's played a lot of goofy characters, so it's hard to see him. Although this kind of was a good next step from The Night Before on HBO, was a mini series where he played like a private detective or a lawyer or something like that. I think he was a public defender, and so that was a good serious role for him. And then this was a little different. But anyway, getting off on a tangent. Yeah, so that's what I'd say about the kind of the environment of Gotham City. And then and on that same idea of realism, Batman in this movie is his everything that he's doing feels more realistic. So the big thing is realistic. Like now, obviously, we don't know of anybody doing Batman type stuff, but I mean, the things that he's doing, there are a couple moments that are really fantastical. There are a couple moments where Batman does things that are, but I felt like there were very few moments that felt larger than life, like that felt unrealistic, that felt harder to believe. So they're like, and there are very big points where you're going, oh, okay, this is happening. But even then, it was kept very, very realistic. Like I felt like Batman didn't leave the ground a lot. So you'll see what I mean. And this is intended to be a spoiler-free review, just talking about kind of the feel of the movie and the way it came across. But it felt like Batman didn't leave the ground a lot, but he was very physical. He was a fighter. He was, I think, it's funny because Robert Pattinson as Batman feels smaller to me. He feels skinnier. I think there are moments where they make him feel kind of big. You see him around regular people and think, okay, this is probably like a tall, kind of imposing looking dude. But at the same time, his gear felt very clunky and heavy. Not as agile as, say, the Dark Knight or the Dark Knight Rises with Christian Bale. But because he felt small, his gear felt kind of clunky to me, and he was good. I think whenever he was in action, Batman seemed great. I think when he was standing around or doing things slow, it felt you kind of look at him and think, okay, this is interesting. But I would say the look of overall of this, if you're familiar with the Arkham Asylum video game series, this is very much in that vein. The look of Batman, the feel, the texture of the world is very much like Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, that type of thing, and it has that kind of grit to it, that kind of look to it, that very grounded sort of feel. And I think that was a smart idea. I think it was good because that video game series was immensely successful. And then on Robert Pattinson as Batman, what I'll say is that he has an interesting performance as Batman that could be divisive. I'll let you decide for yourself, but I felt as if he was Batman a lot, but he was kind of a muted Batman. His again, it was grounded in being realistic. So I felt like, whereas a lot of other, like Christian Bale or the other guys to play Batman felt like a hero, he felt like he was more to himself. He felt like he was not that Hollywood hero, but it played into the realism aspect of the movie. So his performance is very convincing. He feels like a real person, but at the same time, I feel like we don't really get to know enough about him for us to feel like we truly know him. So that's a little different in this one. I feel like with Christian Bale, you truly feel like you knew that Bruce Wayne and that you were invested in him. This Batman, I think I come away not knowing him after watching a 3-hour movie. However, I really like watching him, but I don't feel like I know him. Maybe that's something they'll go deeper into in future movies. And I think a big part of that is that you'll see that this movie is not a big on exposition, which was actually great filmmaking. They don't spend a lot of time just explaining, oh, this and that. He says a few things. You hear from Bruce's journal, his diary or whatever. But it just gets right into the scene as if this world is happening. It's been happening. And it's one of those type movies that kind of doesn't give a lot of explanation, which I think is great filmmaking. And I think that it really causes you to kind of lean in and pay attention, because you feel like this story was going to be going with or without you, if you're there or not. So that's kind of a cool effect. I think it could leave some people wondering what's going on. Like maybe people who are not big comic book people. I could imagine my wife watching this movie and saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" But it's well done. And when it comes to the plot overall of the Batman, and I'm not giving away any spoilers, but when it comes to the plot, I felt like this plot, I was noticing towards the end of the movie that I felt like this was really unpredictable. I mean, there are some points where you see, okay, things are kind of coming to a climax, they're building to this. But as far as a superhero movie goes, it was surprisingly unpredictable. It didn't feel like a superhero movie. Excuse me. it felt like a detective, serial killer, murder mystery sort of thing. And I didn't really exactly know where things were going to go, which was really cool, which really went well with the Riddler, with the choices they made with the Riddler, where he was really played like a Zodiac killer, golden, was it Golden Gate killer, whatever. Um, one of these serial killers who likes to play games with the media and with the cops. It was, I got to say, it was really well done. If you're like a classic comic book person, you may be really, if you're one of those people who's like, it has to be exactly like it was in the comics, this is not going to make you happy. The Riddler was a very original, different take on him. Very different take. And I would say that he is the one character that is the most not like the comic book version of himself. But with that said, it is an incredible performance, incredible character creation that they did, and a Paul Dano did excellent with it. And I think that him as a villain makes a ton of sense. If he were not a Batman villain, just the character that they created was really, really good and was really believable. There's even a kind of, not a big twist, but maybe a small twist towards the end that just once you get to see more of the Riddler and who he is and what his motivations are, I remember sitting there in the theater and thinking, wow, this guy is really believable as a crazy person, as like a mentally ill person. And Paul Dano, great actor. He's been in a lot of things, so I'm not surprised to see a good performance. I wasn't sure if the writing was going to give him enough to work with as a Riddler to be a really good performance, but I would say that what was there, he made excellent. So the Riddler was really good in this. Another good villain, the Penguin. You just got to see him and experience him. Colin Farrell, for one, a lot of people have realized doesn't look anything like himself in this movie, and is a really kind of steals the show kind of character, steals the show kind of villain. Whenever he pops up on the screen, he's got so much personality and just kind of he's fun to watch. He's funny. He's kind of dangerous. Kind of his character. He's a mobster. He's but he adds his own kind of quirks to it. That's not silly, but it makes it entertaining to watch. So I thought he was a great character. I thought the way that they used him was just enough. It wasn't too much, and so you'll have to check out his performance in this. And then so Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle also did very good. I think that all of these takes were different enough that you feel like you didn't know what to expect with them. So same way with Selena Kyle with Catwoman, with Zoe Kravitz's performance here. She is really good. At times she almost looks or feels too young to me. Like she looks almost like a college student, but the woman's 33, but she just has very much a baby face. Looks very young. And so there are moments where I kind of felt that way, where I felt like, man, she just seems so young. But at the same time, she does a great job with the role. I thought that some of the writing, some of the story plot decisions and how they incorporated her, I thought were kind of could have been done maybe a little better. They were a little weird. So you'll have to see and decide for yourself. But for me, I thought some of her motivations and things, it's like, okay, I kind of understand, but there wasn't a ton of depth to some of that until it gets towards the end, and there's kind of a deeper motivation plot sort of thing that comes up for her. So decide for yourself on that one, but I thought she did a great job, all things considered. If anything, it was the writing of her that hindered her, but she killed it and did excellent with her performance. Regardless, you feel her. She has a fully fleshed out kind of character. The more that she's on screen, the more you get her. and yeah, their dynamic with Batman and Catwoman, I thought was they nailed it on screen. That was definitely what you would be expecting to see from Batman and Catwoman. It was really done well. It was felt like the comics. It felt like just kind of um, the right recipe and dynamic. Um, excuse me, I'm so stuffed up this morning. Yeah, so all in all, like I say, I'd give the film a solid A minus B plus. It's really good. I thought that, and this film also I felt like had a. I'll have to think about it some more, but I came out saying, "Wow, that really had a theme and a purpose to the story that was told." In terms of Bruce, in terms of Batman, and where he comes, where he starts at the beginning, it was very poetic. It was I felt like more poetic than a lot of the other Batman movies. We got Nick dropping in saying best Batman movie of all time. Did you see it yesterday too? Um, I thought it was great. I am still digesting and trying to decide for myself if I would say it's the best Batman movie of all time. I mean, it's definitely um, it definitely could be. It's definitely something that you can't just say, "Oh no, that's not," because it's really they really knock a ton of stuff out of the park. Um, Last night IMAX too. Okay, Nick was on the same train as me. Saw it last night in IMAX. Okay, yeah. So that's what I've been talking about, and yeah, I'd give it a solid A minus B plus. There are just a few little things, but I thought overall it was really really great. I mean, you have to get kind of nitpicky with it. The One last thing I wanted to talk about too with this movie is take a look at the Alfred and Bruce dynamic. It was done very different, and I really like it. If anything, I wish I could have got more of Alfred. But it was not your typical. I mean, in the older Batman movies, Alfred really wasn't given much depth or much to explain of him. This did with very little. He was given very little, I feel like, in the script and in the movie, but every time he's on screen, they really make the most of it. There are simple lines that really add a lot of understanding to his relationship with Bruce, his relationship previously with Thomas Wayne. Um, yeah, hopefully we'll get more Alfred in the sequel. But it was interesting because I have felt like in other Batman movies, like we should understand the dynamic of Alfred and Batman better, Bruce, because why is this butler like why did he stick around? Why would a butler stick around and raise a kid, be given like, the job of taking care of Bruce Wayne after his parents are killed? And then why would he allow this craziness? Why would he allow this, who's like almost like a son to him, Bruce? Oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fight criminals. I'm going to clean up this city and I'm going to drive a car and smash into stuff. And, it's like that has never made sense to me. And in this movie, they really did it in a way that I felt like made sense. There's more family dynamic there to Alfred and Bruce, and it's really kind of cool to see. But you really have to pay attention to it because there's subtlety, there's things that are not said, there's the way they look at each other, the way they interact, and there's a lot that's kind of in the performance that I thought they fleshed out. And I think bravo to the direction of Matt Reeves in that area of their relationship because it ends up become a more powerful thing by the end of the story, and hopefully we'll see their relationship evolve. But yeah, it was cool because you kind of got to see some of the human element. Like I said, this movie very big on being realistic, and the dynamic of Alfred and Bruce is kind of has that dysfunction that I think it really should. If it, like I say, if he's going to be allowing this, so you kind of got to see, in my opinion, I don't want to spoil too much. I just want you guys to experience it if you haven't seen it. But you really kind of can feel how Alfred is at the same time disapproving while he is enabling, which for me was really profound and subtle, but made a lot of sense. And you see how this like surrogate father of Alfred is constantly disapproving and yet constantly enabling and allowing this craziness to continue of him being the Batman, you know. Bible and a Bicycle. It's great to finally catch you live. I love what you're doing on your channel, working my way through Manga Messiah. Every read a blessing and shalom. Oh, thank you. Thank you for dropping in, Bible and a Bicycle. No, I have not heard of Manga Messiah. I'll have to Manga Messiah. That's a tongue twister. I have to look into that one. But yeah, and then on that note, so I'm going to make a full formal review of this movie, The Batman, and I want to get into the themes of it because, like I said, this movie is more poetic. The closest I would say is maybe The Dark Knight. Has a theme, you know, has the idea of the White Knight and the Dark Knight and being the hero that Gotham needs, but not the one, or the one it deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So that was very profound. That whole kind of thing. Some of the themes, even in, you know, Chris Nolan is an amazing director. But this film, everything it does less blockbustery and more intimate, indie film kind of feel to it. So it may kind of surprise some people, or they may, I don't know. I think you get some of the big action stuff, but it really has these themes. So interesting themes, yeah, that you could even, that I would tie into biblical stuff. I'm still kind of processing it, but I mean, this whole theme of vengeance is a big thing, and the way that what happens to this whole concept of vengeance throughout the movie and what Bruce learns, and it really becomes fascinating, and it really becomes a journey from start to finish. So yeah, those are my thoughts on The Batman, which is coming out in theaters this Friday. So I hope you all get a chance to see it. I mean, prepare, you know, stretch, you know, go for a jog or something, because you're going to be sitting for 3 hours at least. So just watched Snyder Cut of Jail, but haven't got a Batman yet. But biting at the bit to do it. Oh, yeah, man. It's a good one. You got to see it. You got to see it. So thanks all for dropping into the Comics and Crosses morning show. I am live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Central. So I hope you can join me. I hope you can watch the replay and share this with anybody you like, anybody maybe who's looking to see the Batman. And like I say, I'll be trying to drop a formal review as soon as possible. Have a good day, Nick. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks, everybody. And God bless. I will catch you all next